So the FBI is searching again in Nancy Guthrie's front yard. These are all FBI agents. They were just searching across the street where the media is set up. That's Nancy's house. So this is just next to Nancy's house.
I'm here, y'all. Sorry, I had some meetings that I had to do, and I'm done. So I'm here. We're gonna be here for a few hours. Give me a thumbs up in chat if you can hear me. We got some stuff to go over. I did an update video. I think it's actually under 5 minutes. Hey, Jenny. Hey, Susan. Thanks to the mods for being here. Tell you what, if I ever win the lottery, I'm taking all the mods on a vacation. Phoenix, she just watched the 5-minute update. Cram it and be done. How sad about James Vanderbeek. I have followed his journey on Instagram, moving out of LA, moving to Texas with his kids. Like, oh, he seemed like the nicest dude. I really hate to hear. I don't like to say he lost his battle with cancer. Cancer lost the minute he took his last breath. So Godspeed, dude. So young. Yeah, he's I believe my age, up 48-ish, maybe a year older. Is he 48? I'm not sure. So sad, man. Get tested. I gotta get mine done. I gotta get my, that thing done. Funny story. A couple weeks ago, I was supposed to have one, and they got my dates mixed up. So here I was about to start prepping, and they were like, "You missed your colonoscopy." I was like, "No, I'm supposed to be prepping right now." And they're like, "Don't do it." It's like, thanks. Yeah, this is so important, and now it's hitting so many younger people in their 30s. It's really bad stuff. So take care of yourself. See something change in your body. Talk to your doctor. That's your PSA from Gigi today. So those of you that watch the update, we're just gonna kind of rehash it right now. The guy they released last night, bless his heart. He was interviewed on his front porch step. I'm sure you guys saw it. If not, we'll pull it up here in a few and watch it for those of you who haven't. He said that they pulled him over and said he was being detained for like suspicion of kidnapping. And he was like, "Kidnapping who?" And they didn't ask him any questions. They went through that car. They searched their house. They took the family's electronics, and then they're just like, "Okay, you can go." And then Ashley Holden tweeted out that her source said the FBI identified him by using electronic investigative tools, including cell phone usage information and traffic data. So he could have been in the area working or something, but they didn't specify the exact techniques. But he said they broke his garage door and the front door. And he was very kind about it. He said, "I hope they find the suspect, but I'm not that guy." And finally, somebody came and wrangled him in off the front porch and made him come inside, probably so they could close the door and say, "Holy crap, what just happened to us?" It is bizarre, y'all. I mean, it seems like to me now we're just back at gumshoe detective, boots on the ground work. TMZ talked about the 3 things that we're seeing in the video that they're focusing on are the backpack, the gun, and the glove. So what they're going to do is they're going to start looking for brands, see if they can identify it, and then they're going to start running things through databases about guns and see if it'll come back to somebody. The glove that they did find today, and I don't think they've confirmed this is related, but it's kind of ironic. Of course, a lot of things yesterday were ironic and turned out unfortunately, to be a dead end. But there could very well be skin cells in that glove that they could run the DNA if they find it and do some ancestry DNA that might lead them to a suspect. I think it's just going to be a while unless we get like a break that's solid in the case. That's my opinion. They're going to have to go back to Walmarts and see, get a list from so far away or radius, who's bought this backpack and when, review surveillance footage, see if this person looks like they could be the masked intruder. So it's just going to be a while, I think, y'all. They're searching the roadways. I do want to play a 911 call that came in earlier today. This is not confirmed, not related, but it does mention Nancy Guthrie. So, let me go to my feed. I just posted it. Shout out to Troy with Blunt Force Media, who put this out there. This is somebody who found a ski mask on the side of the road that said it looked like the one in the Nancy Guthrie case. So let's take a listen.
Going to be at 100 East First Avenue. Caller said she found a ski mask on the ground in the alley near her garage. Looks like the same mask the assailant was wearing in the Nancy Guthrie case.
So that's it. You know, maybe this person just dumped stuff, you know, as they were leaving the scene, which is stupid and clearly somebody who isn't thinking about the long-term ramifications, but also we're on day 11, so not too stupid, to be honest. Now, what's stupid is somebody sent a letter to TMZ today saying that they're not the kidnapper, but they will name the kidnapper for 1 Bitcoin, which is worth $66,000, I believe. So, yeah, I said this on my update. Instead of taking the $16,000 hit and calling the FBI and saying, here's your person, they're risking a bunch of felonies to get $16,000 in 1 Bitcoin. Lord have mercy, y'all. People just don't think. What else has happened today? They were back at Annie Guthrie's house. I watched the video. It really, to me, we can pull this video up. To me, it really looked like they were just doing a courtesy for her, maybe grabbing some things out of the house. They grabbed her mail. Definitely not evidence bags they were carrying out. They'll do that if the family's not staying at home. They'll run in and get things for them. You know, they obviously don't want to be pulling up to their house with the media and everything. So if I can find the video of them coming out. Here we go. This is from Fox True Crime. You can see those bags. They just, you know, it's a business bag and looks like a big grocery bag. And then he got their mail and put that in a bag as well. So nothing suspicious there. And those are the 2 agents that were leaving. I'll read some comments here in a second. I'm just going down this list. Brianna Whitney tweeted out that the Pima County Sheriff's Department says since February 1st, they've received nearly 18,000 calls and more than 4,000 of those came in over the last 24 hours since that video was put out. And that's key because, you know, you look at like Gabby Petito, it was a YouTuber who happened to go back over her footage and saw that white van, and that was the break in the case. So, you know, it's important to remember that you don't have to be in Tucson to see something or notice something. So, good reminder there. Also, a good reminder. You know, I was talking about this earlier. Hey, Crash. We'll gladly extort you for 1 Bitcoin, yeah, and go to the pokey for about 10 to 15. Makes total sense. What else? So yeah, they're having trouble getting through sometimes to leave tips due to the volume of calls they're getting. The FBI gave her a statement as well for an update this afternoon, despite Bitcoin deadlines passing days ago. In original Ransom note, it has not been ruled in or out as legitimate and still part of the overall investigation. They're also still operating off of Kash Patel's latest statement. There are persons of interest that they, you know, are obviously interested in talking to, meaning more than one. I think this is a 2-person minimum job. And also they're following up on tons of leads. And they won't comment on Carlos, who was arrested last night. The guy's like, just want to clear my name. But back to what I was saying. You know, I woke up today and last night I followed this as he was being actively detained, and 50 pictures of a different Carlos came up with the same name. And it's just a good reminder. Make sure you're not, I don't have to worry about you guys, but so many people will just throw a name up and put an address up. And these poor dudes are probably like at home chilling out with their family with no clue their pictures getting spread around the internet. And some of the comments were rude. I just hate that. I mean, that can ruin people's lives. And yeah, so, and then finding the black glove, it looked latex, which is what, you know, it looked to be in the video. So that's kind of the latest from what we're hearing, but let's scroll through Twitter and then I'm going to look at some of the comments and we'll chit chat. So we've been through all this. Yeah, it's just kind of quiet, you know, like I say, they're pounding the ground out there. You know, my fear is that this just becomes a cold case. You know, we're in day 11. I'm hopeful. I mean, there's always hope until there's not, but people are bringing flowers to Nancy's house, having them dropped off. I'm curious about that blue shirt that was near her front porch. I want to go back and look at Brian Enson's early video and see if it was there. But I kind of feel like if it was, he would have said something. Yeah, so let's watch Brianna Whitney's report here. Probably what we just talked about.
Yeah, you guys just mentioned it. Thousands and thousands of tips coming in real time to the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's Department, so much so they have to sort through this. A lot of them coming in the last day since they released that surveillance video. This, of course, all coming on the heels of a man who was detained last night, questioned the investigation, and then released. I talked to the FBI on the phone today. They tell me at this hour there are still multiple persons of interest that they're investigating. That's coming straight from the FBI director. But as far as that original ransom note went, that had a deadline of first of Thursday last week, then of Monday this week. And the FBI had said that they would use those deadlines to try to determine whether or not this was a credible ransom note. Today, confirmed with the FBI, they still have not been able to determine that. So where does the investigation all stand now with so many new developments? Here's what we know at this hour tonight. PCSD says alone, they've received nearly 18,000 calls since February 1st. More than 4,000 of those came in the last 24 hours since the surveillance video and pictures were released. As far as the Bitcoin investigation goes from the ransom note, CNN is reporting another media outlet received a bizarre letter via email this morning from someone who claims to know who kidnapped Nancy Guthrie and is demanding a single Bitcoin in exchange for the information. A single Bitcoin is worth about 66,000 US dollars. Keep in mind, there's already a $50,000 reward being offered for anyone who comes forward with a tip that leads to Nancy or an arrest. Now, the FBI would not comment on that to me, but they did say, despite both of those deadlines passing, that original ransom note is still part of the overall investigation. The FBI also told me on the phone today they're investigating, quote, tons of leads and still operating off Director Kash Patel's latest statement that there are multiple persons of interest. Now, the big news from last night, a man named Carlos was detained for questioning after a traffic stop in Rio Rico, that's south of Tucson. His relative's home was searched by law enforcement, and he said that officers asked him about a kidnapping, which he claimed he knew nothing about. He was then released overnight. So, was that a mistake? I asked a former FBI special agent. Was it a misstep for authorities to detain Carlos last night, or is this just part of the process?
It's part of the process, and I'll explain why. There's a big difference when you're working an investigation that involves the imminent risk to a victim out there immediately, like an imminent right-of-way risk, versus an investigation that is ongoing and calculated, and you have time to gather evidence and think through strategy. So when you have a victim in imminent danger, you are taking a few chances. You're moving faster than really the evidence sometimes allows you to in order to maximize the chance of success of returning that victim safely.
And part of the process is a little bit different in this case, it seems, at least for investigators, because there is such a scrutiny. I mean, all eyes are on every single tiny little update that they're, being watched more than they typically would. So this might happen in other investigations too, but right now you have all eyes on every single thing that they are doing in terms of a development, getting closer, hopefully, to finding Nancy Guthrie. We talked about these thousands of tips that are coming in. I've spoken to multiple people who said they're having a hard time actually getting through to these hotlines, both with the FBI and the PCSD. That is why yesterday we had people that were showing up live in person here at the Sheriff's Department, desperate to try to give their tips because they couldn't get through. I talked to somebody who said after about the 5th or 6th time of calling, they finally got through to somebody and were able to get that tip across, but they're asking still for any information. We know that Carlos was detained and then released, so there is no other person of interest in custody as of this time this evening. They want to hear from you. They need all of the help they can get. Of course, a lot of people thought maybe they'd have a press conference today with all of these significant updates, but the PCSD says that they will have one when there is a significant development. We don't know exactly what they consider a significant development. Of course, all of this information as well, we still don't know where Nancy Guthrie is tonight. Reporting live in Tucson at the Pima County Sheriff's Department, Brianna Whitney for Arizona's Family.
Brianna.
So yeah, let's go ahead and watch the interview with the guy who was detained yesterday. This is Carlos. Poor Carlos.
Are you shocked?
Oh, yeah, I was.
Tell me.
Come on, like, what do you expect me to do? ¿Cómo quieres que reaccione cuando algo pasa así? Pero yo no sé qué está pasando. Me agarraron como si fuera un criminal, me secuestraron. They held me against my will. They didn't read me my rights until 2 hours later. Okay? You know, my wrist is all fucking swollen
From
the handcuffs. Like,
And did you have any idea?
No.
that this was
The
about
language.
women? Do you know who Nancy Guthrie
No.
is?
That's the problem. No, I don't know anything.
Where you were like, where is this coming from?
How did they come up on you?
I don't know.
Like, what, were you just driving around?
Yeah, working.
Yeah, they
Dashing.
said you were delivering
Yeah,
DoorDash?
this.
Oh,
How'd they pull up on you? Like,
Nah, I pulled up with them. They were following me. Yeah, they were following me. Miranda. This is Santa Cruz County, and Miranda was down here. It's like, come on, 2 and 2.
and so then when they came up on you, what did they say? Like, what did they say?
Nothing. Literally nothing. They just told me, stop moving. Like, what's your name? Carlos. And that's it. They put me in the cop car. You gotta wait like 2 hours. I waited like 2 hours until the detectives came here and everything.
oh my God.
When they finally told you this was had to do with some kidnapping, like, what were you thinking?
What the fuck am I doing here? I didn't do anything. To be honest, like, I'm innocent.
And you don't even know who the lady is?
No.
Do you know who Savannah
No,
Guthrie is?
no.
No.
I don't follow the news.
Right.
I don't watch.
You don't watch the Today Show?
No,
So this was a complete
Yes.
shock.
it was.
What kind of questions were they asking you?
Nothing. They didn't ask me no questions.
So they just said,
nothing. They
so they
just sat me in
took
the car. They investigated my car and this van, and that's it. They didn't ask me no questions, no nothing.
Did you get the other car back? Or they still have it?
No, it's right there.
Oh, they gave it back to
Yeah.
you. So,
Yeah, it's
and
like,
they said you can go home?
yeah.
And how did they treat, like, the people you were with, your girl, your child?
I don't see
Yeah,
about
no,
that.
understood.
You know what I mean?
How's your family? They
Well, they're all
scared
in shock.
everybody. I was gonna say they scared everybody, huh?
Yeah, they're all in shock right now.
Wow.
Did they damage the house? Yeah.
What did they do to the
They
house?
broke the doors. What else there? The garage door in the back. Yeah.
So what are you gonna do now?
I'm trying to see my name. I didn't do anything. I mean, I hope they get the suspect. Because I'm not it. They better do their job and find the suspect that did it so they can clear my name. And I'm done. Look at what I'm putting my family through.
You're on
Not just
national
them.
news now.
Not just them. Even my parents in Tucson. Yeah.
And your mother-in-law was worried about you. She was saying it doesn't look anything like it.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm telling you guys. Like, what the fuck? Come
Why
on.
do you think they came here? Why do you think they came to you?
If I would have known that answer, I would have given it to you. But I don't.
So you have no idea what led them
No,
to
I do
you?
not.
Nothing. They didn't.
Nothing.
They didn't say car make, license, nothing.
Nada.
Carlos, ¿hablas español?
Los dos. Soy bilingüe.
Carlos, ¿nos puedes platicar en español para Telemundo Arizona qué fue lo que sucedió?
Pues me estaban acusando de secuestro, algo que yo no hice. Y me. I'm done.
Okay.
Carlos, una declaración en español, por favor.
Gracias, Carlos.
Carlos, una declaración en español.
Por favor, a ver. What's your last name, Carlos?
Poor Carlos, right? So yeah, part of the process, I guess, but stinks for Carlos. So I'm gonna read some comments here and see what you guys are saying. You know, he says his parents live in Tucson, so that's his reason for being there. He might have been in the area, but I mean, I get that they're following their leads, but Judy says the crime aisle at Walmart. Yeah, if somebody asked for ransom for my mom, I'd pay it, but you'd probably get you a value meal with what I could put up. Sorry, mom. Yeah, I wish it too, but it just seems to me like unless we get some kind of a big lead that somebody calls in, they're just, it almost feels like, you know, not square one because we have the video and they are, you know, if FBI, it seems like you said they were investigating persons of interest. I think the glove, if it comes back with some DNA, that could be the biggest thing we have right now that we know of. I'm sure they probably know way more than we do. But then after last night, it kind of makes you wonder. Will I be on Surviving the Survivor next week about Corey Richins? Yes. And then tonight, Joel's going to be on with me on Jesse Weber. So I'm excited to see him on there. Love me some Joel and COE. Yeah, Kimmer, that's something I've thought about is the fact that they're saying they're not, but then you have to go back and look. Every time they've gotten a letter, they rush back to Nancy's house, and then they went to Annie's house that one time. I kind of feel like if they were 100% sure, they would just say, "Look, we don't think they're legit," but they've treated it that way up until now. They're saying, "We don't know if it's legit or not." I just feel like there was something valid in those notes that made them take the second one seriously. And then you get this video from Savannah with her siblings where she says, "We understand, we will pay." So I kind of feel like there was some kind of communication we're not aware of. Then the FBI put out that statement. We're not aware of any continuing communications between the Guthries and the potential kidnappers, but that doesn't mean that it hasn't happened. And I'm sure they're aware of it. They're just not going to say it. I think, anything the FBI puts out is going to be very, very carefully crafted to not potentially tick off somebody who could have Nancy. It's scary because we're on day 11 and there have been some blunders in this investigation from the beginning. No doubt. I mean, it's been handled, there's just been things missed that are critical. And then you hear that, it's been reported that the sheriff's office was not very welcoming to the FBI. And that's a huge mistake because they have so many more resources. And I don't know. I mean, I just feel like, Cheryl, yeah, thanks for coming in. Go take care of you. I got this chat. I put people in timeout if I have to. I'm just kidding. Audra's here. Hey, Audra, I just saw your name. Poor Carlos. He was just thrust in the spotlight last night, just doing his normal thing. So I'd be a little weird too, I think. Yeah, stays with his mom. Yeah, in Tucson. I think it's pretty clear they didn't find anything at all because they let him go. But dumb criminals can be somewhat smart. In the event these letters are real, they've been very smart in not being able to be tracked. And clearly you have the FBI, and I would suspect maybe even the CIA and on this case. And the fact that they haven't said, "Look, we found where the letters are coming from, they're bogus," clearly shows somebody knows what they're doing. But a lot of kids were raised, a lot of people have been raised online. I remember the first time I saw the internet, I just graduated high school and I was at Fruit Loops, and we were amazed we could sit there and chat with people across the world in an AOL chat room. But, like I said, I always talk about the little hackers. In fact, I'm going to show you guys if you ever want to go watch this thing that it's called Fern. I really love the style that this guy does. Let me see if I can search like the hacker thing though. Show you the video I'm talking about. The kids who hacked the CIA, that's a really good one. Minecraft scammer stole 16.5 million. How a hacker saved the internet. The kid who hacked the Pentagon and paid with his life. The hacker who destroyed Hollywood. The kids who hacked Xbox. That one's really good. Hacker stole $1 billion from banks. So all their hacker videos are really, really cool. I love stuff like that. And the way that they present it's just really easy to digest. So yeah, hire the kids. Excuse me, my lung just went that way. Can we please do a comparison of the eyes with the ski mask? I'm not sure with who. I don't want to pull Carlos's picture up because, I don't want to insinuate anything. I'm always amazed since I follow crime how many aren't aware of such. I assume you mean evil right in their own areas. Yeah, we would probably be shocked of what goes on in our neighborhood or the type of people that live in the houses in our neighborhood. I mean, and I was laying in bed thinking about this last night. Clearly some of us have had close calls that we don't know about. Sorry, I'm just having to respond to a text about being on Jesse Weber tonight. you know, it's a scary thought, but you know, how many times have we been looked at as a potential suspect and the timing wasn't right or too many people were around is terrifying. And for me, it's scary having kids out in the world, especially 14-year-old girl who's going to be driving next year. But you have to arm your kids with, you know, the truth and a lot of things and not let them see the world through rose-colored glasses because I think it makes them more susceptible to being more of a victim just with denial and, you know, or trying to teach your kids the world's this rosy place because it's really not. So, like, when they were little, I was like, let's sit down and watch the video about the kid that was kidnapped through Minecraft or whatever. Gotta arm your kids with the knowledge. We live in a different world. In the 80s, like, our worst, you know, is stranger danger. You know, we were all afraid of the white vans. What's realistic for a return time? So, there was a trial where this was covered. The good thing is it hasn't rained. So it's been out in the elements, but you know, I mean, I think latex gloves can hold DNA for a very, very long time. The texture of it, you know, things like that. Let's see, UV. So I just pull up an article. UV breaks DNA strands down fast. A glove left outside direct sunlight is a big problem. However, the glove was kind of looked inside out to me. Let's see if we can find a picture of this glove real quick. So it's, you know, it's not like it could be all gone. It could be down in a little nook and plenty enough to, yo, the phone's going off like crazy. Hey, Sherlock. I just have to do a little keyword search here. We're just going off the fly today, y'all. I'm always scared to pull up results with being on live because people are weird. So if you look there, it almost looks like, yeah, that's inside out. But if you look here, the tip of the finger is still folded in. So not really directly exposed to sunlight. And even then, you still have shadowed areas here that aren't directly exposed. It says here, heat, high temperature accelerates deep, like the DNA breaking down, but it's not really super hot in Tucson right now. It's, you know, it's pretty fair. Let me pull up my app because I have been keeping up with the temps. It's 76. I mean, it's not like blazing hot. So there's potential there. I'm sure they have swabbed that baby and it's probably already at the lab. Microbes can chew up biological material. You know, but I think you probably could get some touch DNA off of there, like skin cells. But that's more fragile and it's not usually big quantities, but all you need is a little tiny piece where you can amplify that DNA and maybe duplicate it. And I think they're probably going to try to do some genetic genealogy with this because that would be your best shot. Of course, the thing you do is run it through the database and see if you get a hit first off. That's kind of the common way to do it. But they're not going to hold back on this at all. They're going to try to find anything they can. Yeah, Susan, I think you and everybody else agrees. It never should have been released. It should have been roped off with crime scene. Even now, from the day she was reported missing, we still should have crime scene up because she's gone. She's still missing. And, you know, they've been back to that house, what, 3-4 times now, maybe more. And so, yeah, I agree. Hope it doesn't end up like the Daybell case. Yeah, I know. It's, you know, I really don't want to see this turn into a cold case, but you know, there's always hope that somebody out there is influenced by the reward, sees something and says, hey, I know this person or it reminds me of that person. And again, going back to Gabby Petito, you know, it was a while after she was reported missing that they were editing their video where they went into that campground and said, look, that van looks like the one on the news. And oh, there's a hat. And that was their break. And that's where they found her. So who's to say that, you know, somebody doesn't have a memory that just pops up and says, you know what? So hopefully that's the case. But if this mask is also related to the case, I mean, you're looking at possible hair strands in that mask, skin cells, maybe saliva. So I think the mask, if that's legit, could be a better source to find DNA because you just have different types that are potentially in there, as opposed to just a few small skin cells that hopefully haven't been disturbed by the elements. Phoenix mom said Carlos was home because his work van isn't running, so he's door dashing with his wife until he gets his van running. Yeah, just really unfortunate for Carlos. I hope his day today was better than yesterday for sure. Yeah. ASL, Mama Bear. Oh my gosh, you just re-jogged to remember. You remember like age, sex, location in chat rooms, but we were told never to disclose that. But we all did a lot on our info. Yeah, I'd be like, I live in Sweden. Or I'd be like, I live somewhere really exotic, right next to the pyramids. What's up? Yeah, the white things are still a van. I'm telling you, if I see one in a parking lot, I park far away. And if I do see one, I park to where like my car door is not near the car door where they could snatch me. Um, we're all milk carton kids. We grew up looking at, sad photos of missing kids while we ate our cereal every morning. And that sticks with me, Um, yeah, so Mama Bear, you just echoed what I said. If I see a white van, I'm feeling sketch. I'm with Phoenix. He put the flashlight in his mouth. His DNA could still be on the outside, which is now the inside. Yeah, I mean, that mask, if it is from the person, I mean, what are the odds you find a mask, in an area near her home and now they found a glove? Did this person just, seems weird they would ditch all that, but shows me that they, if it was in an alleyway behind her house, I mean, is this person walking? Were they able to drive through? They're just throwing things out near the crime scene. It seems really dumb, but we've seen dumber, like asking for a Bitcoin for 66,000 when you could just call it in and get 50 and be a hero. Come on. Gives away my age. Yeah, Venus gal. I'm 48 and proud of it. Yeah, big welcome to everybody coming in. We're just off the cuff here. 100%, no plan, no rhyme, no reason. Following news as it breaks. My friend Troy, shout out to him for putting that 911 call in so we could hear it. The sheriff's been spotted. Kind of uneventful, but Brianna Whitney says here, first time we've seen Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos in person outside headquarters since last Friday. He has not spoken publicly about the Nancy Guthrie case since giving a few words 6 days ago, and tomorrow is a week since his last presser. And of course, as of now, no plans to hold one unless something huge breaks. So let's just scroll here, see what's going on. That was yesterday, so that's not new. What do you guys think? What's your feelings on this? Do you feel like we're just far away again? Or do you think behind the scenes there's more going on? But it seems to me this is just a boots on the ground canvassing, looking on the side of the road. But then again, if this mask turns out to be legit, there's still evidence to be had, and that's what you have to do to go find it. You have to get out there. 57 here, 58 in July. By the way, I'm going to be headed out to Corey Richens' trial later this month. I'm really excited. I'm going to stay for a few days of testimony, and I need to find out what happened in jury selection today. I streamed Murdoch. To be honest with you guys, I did not watch a lot of it. My brain was not firing on half the synapses up there. So I'll recap that at a later time. It's going to be months before we could hear a decision. So I watched until Creighton Waters got finished with his and we went to break. And then I was like, nap time. Just reading your comments here. Yeah, Susan, I was thinking that. He might be back on road duty. See, Kimmer, this is me. It makes me wonder why we could find a glove on day 11 along the road and why we haven't already found it. And there are not search teams out doing grids. Completely agree. Yeah. I mean, you work your digital leads, but you got to have a team out there in the thick of it. And, but for all we know, that Nest camera that was mounted on the building was missed for days. And boom, they found it. So it seems like things are just getting looked over. And that's critical time that you're missing to find her. It's not like, there's no time to spare in this case. And I know they're doing everything they can to find her. But I think this case is probably going to be a lesson for some people that do this work of next time you got to do X, Y, and Z. And the first thing you do is secure the crime scene and keep it secure. Yeah. Oh, Mary, I thought about that too. Looking at the blood drops now with the flowers of the bush is extra creepy to me now. It really is. That video, I was seeing it when I was laying down last night. I had to put on like some happy Zen music to go to sleep. Yeah, and there has been some back and forth, Liz, about what actually happened. I think the mom said both, I believe. According to people that I've asked, did she say he was pulled over or they busted the door down? But he said didn't he say he was pulled over? Did I miss that? I'm not sure. But it is very different. But you would think they would have had a search warrant if they were on his trail for whatever reason. Pima County just updated road closure top of Gates Pass Road. So let's pull that up on the maps. Could just be a traffic thing, but I always like to see where this is in relation to Mrs. Guthrie's home. Let's just go on a little Google adventure. Top of Gates Pass Road in Tucson. All right, well, let's share this tab. Back out. So get a layered view. So this is pretty barren area. Look at that. Is that west of Tucson? I suck with direction, but I think that's west of Tucson. Look at a couple of photos that were submitted by people. They're just kind of up in it's just in the canyons. Look at all those cacti. Love it. I would just stop and take a million pictures of the cactus like that. Yeah, it's a pretty barren area. It could just be something going on. I mean, last time it was bees and they took care of the bees, but let's do a little road up. Let's see. They said it was at the top. Looks like that's coming up here. So let's go on a little trip. So yeah, this is just barren land. Might be a couple of little structures here and there, but I love these cactus here. So look, they're saying, give me a hug. Give me a hug. This is West Gates. Let's see. So yeah, just a general, you can see here, some little trails there, but it could be an accident. I get all the alerts for the sheriff's office, so. I'm just looking to see if there's any structures out here. Did I come through here on a date? I don't know. It all looks the same with these cactus. So you're coming back down. So maybe like up in this area. I don't know. I mean, I would kind of consider this the top. But you see, it's just your canyons and your mountains or your valleys, the canyons. So yeah, that's where there's a road closure. Probably not anything to get excited about, but you never know. Read some of your comments. And that's very true, BB. Somebody could have just be planting those things after that stuff was released. Very, very true. Because we got somebody asking for a Bitcoin today, and that's dumb. I've heard the lead detective has less than 2 years experience. Not that that's bad, but in the first critical days, that could matter. There's a lot. I mean, the first 48, you know, I love that show. And it is true. You see how, I mean, that's your critical time. I think so too, Dreamscape. The FBI released a video that I'm sure they have more of. I don't know why they don't just release it if they're looking for help from the public. Hopefully, those other Nest cams, they can find the data like they did with this. Seems like it was pretty painstaking and it took a lot of investigation. They said they worked with Google over the course of a week to retrieve that video, but there's hope. Maybe there's more and, you know, see if anybody's in the backyard, get some more footage. I always say we probably know 5% of what investigators know, and they're working leads. But in the meantime, it is good to have people on the ground because found a glove today. You know, tomorrow they could find a jacket. Tomorrow they could find shoes. Who knows? I agree though. There's probably, if they did have it, I kind of feel like though they would release it because they're getting the tips today so much that it's clogging the lines and people can't even call in their tip. But at the same time, if it's something that is more identifiable that might lead them towards a suspect, they may not want to make that suspect aware that they have anything more than just this doorbell video that shows his eyes and his lips and the clothing he was wearing. Yeah, and also I think a kid of his or a teenager in the house was playing a game and they just busted up and I heard they cuffed the kid. And that's standard. You detain everybody in the house, but had to be traumatic. Yeah, that's right, Dreamscape. The mother-in-law had a son. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Can you imagine just like for me, I play Fallout 76 when I have free time and I go kick like mutant booty in the wasteland. With my headphones on, I'd pee my pants if somebody came and jerked me out my bed and handcuffed me while I was doing that. It's just because that's just standard procedure, Liz. It's we just watched a video. I'm not sure if you were in here. It's just standard procedure. If they get a tip or they didn't get a tip in this case, now we're learning that they were following some digital leads. But yeah, it's unfortunate. I hope they pay for his garage door and his front door. But on the minute chance that this person in the house had something to do with Nancy, cops going in there don't know if somebody, even if it's not, somebody just gets spooked that the cops are at the door. It's very possible they grab a gun and this ends in tragedy when we find out there was nothing there. I think I just heard him say police were following him. Yeah, he did say they were following him while he was making his deliveries. Oh, so he pulled over. I don't think they had their lights on yet, but he noticed them and pulled over. Yeah, they kicked on that door. Venus, I tell you what, if I didn't love my family so much, I could move to Arizona. I just love it out there. It's my vibe. But I love my people, so I'm gonna be born and dead here in South Carolina. Just looking at some updates. So we just went through the update. You can rewind. And I also did less than 5-minute recap of what we know today. Pretty much they found a glove on the side of the road. There was a 911 call where somebody said they found a mask and specifically said it resembles the mask in the Nancy Guthrie case. So we've been talking about how there's potential for DNA in that with saliva, hair, skin cells, that sort of thing. What else, y'all? Somebody emailed Harvey Levin today at TMZ and said, I know the kidnapper. Give me 1 Bitcoin. $66,000 when you could just go to the FBI and be the hero of the day for 50. Probably a hoax, and they'll catch that person sooner than later, I'm sure. I think they went in the beginning because they went in and got the DNA. They verified there was some DNA in the house. So I'm sure the sheriff's department went in there. And we don't know that the FBI hasn't been in there. It could be there wasn't a drone up and they went in the back or something. I feel certain the FBI has been in that house after a week of being there because they're not going to rely on the sheriff's department's work. They're going to do their own from the very beginning and work their leads and build their case. So I'm sure they've been in there. That's my 2 cents. My 26-year-old son thinks it's somebody in their 30s since they asked for Bitcoin. Maybe. I don't know. My dad and my brother do this Bitcoin stuff, so I don't understand it, but I just know, man, I missed the boat on that one. I remember thinking, like, what's this Bitcoin? I ain't putting money into it. And then, like, all these years later, joke's on you. One's worth 66,000 apparently. I got all excited because my son gave me a Bitcoin about a month ago, and then I read today it's worth 66,000. So I pull out my coin scanner. It is like, yeah, that's a fake. I was like, dang. 4,000 tips come in 24 hours. Yeah, that's huge. And so I think if they do get anything, oh wow. Okay, so let's read Michael Ruiz. They have found a set of gloves. That's big. So double the potential to get some DNA. Here we go. More clues. Sources tell Fox News that authorities are investigating one set of gloves that were found near Nancy Guthrie's house. Let me retweet that and we will read it. Sorry, this is so disorganized, but we just hanging out. Let's read this. Oh boy, it's all scattered. I don't know where to start. Okay, a black glove was recovered near the home of Nancy Guthrie. The glove was found along a road about 1.5 miles from Guthrie's home on Wednesday. It appeared to be stuck in a small roadside shrub, according to New York Post. They were on scene, by the way. This photo is theirs. Officers were seen removing the glove from the brush before placing it into a bag. We will watch that video in just a second, y'all. Sources tell Fox News that one set of gloves is being processed from the area. So that also can give them a direction of travel. And I'm sure they have canvassed for security footage in a whole radius. But if this comes back, and it just seems a little too ironic to not be true, because those were definitely black latex. I was showing my son last night the video because he was just curious. He's heard me talk about this, and he said those are the same kind they wear, out in the field. So yeah, black latex. When I did the color correction yesterday, it made them leather because I used a little AI to like clean up the picture. And somebody said, why does this guy have on like a Depression era boxing glove? I was dead, y'all. It was so funny. But I was just working with the eyes to get the glare off without distorting the face, because AI will distort the face. I've seen 50 versions of this, but I'm not going to do that again, actually. I was thinking about it last night. It's not, probably not what I need to be doing. I was just having fun. Not having fun, but just trying to see what you look like without the glare. So in the video released by the FBI, the person tampering with the doorbell camera appeared to be wearing dark colored gloves, and the FBI announced the search. So let's watch this video of them recovering that glove.
Is that a glove?
Well, there you go. A pair. That's pretty big. That's good. Being out there, walking around, you find stuff. But, I think the most important thing to take from that is a direction of travel. So if you find that there and you go from Nancy Guthrie's house and say, well, this person made a left or right here, it could also give them just a whole other direction to look in as far as the route of travel. Okay, law enforcement is working on an official description of the masked figure captured on a Guthrie Nest camera, but there's no timeline for when it will be released publicly. So they're probably using some really fancy technology to do like I wonder if they're gonna do like a facial reconstruction or something. Just reading here. I think we saw this, the FBI being back out at Nancy's. Not surprising. So yeah, it seems like we're all caught up right now. Let me check in my WebEx and see if they've dropped anything. No. Let's see here. Yeah, just on the side of the road. So, somebody could have just tossed it. I'm looking at a photo. I can't share it because of my WebEx, but yeah, it's just the same photo we've seen. So that could be a lead. Autocorrect hates me today. Sorry, all. Mary, I will tell you, when I text people, I'm like, it's kind of like a clue. You got to decipher it because I do voice to text a lot, and Siri is day drunk, or I speak so Southern that she can't catch some words I'm saying. And so some people will be like, can you try again in English? And I'm like, nope. Figure it out. Let's see here. Venus Gal, ditto, ditto. Family keeps me where I am, or I'd be in Arizona. At least though you are in South Carolina, whereas I live in negative 26 a few weeks ago. Venus, you can have it. I'm ready for spring. I was in a stream where they were looking at the porch video. I'm convinced that whoever that was wearing clothes underneath. The gloves looked puffy and the clothes didn't hang right, extra padding. So that coat actually had a Sherpa lining. So it's that thick white stuff like you get on the blankets. So yeah, those are pretty thick. I have a Sherpa coat, and if I zip it up, I look like an Oompa Loompa. It's not flattering, which I don't try to look flattering. And if you know me personally, you know this. I said I'll never wear yoga pants in public. I'm gonna tell you right now. That's all I wear. Yeah, I mean, it's hard when you have that many tips coming in. You think 4,000 calls in 24 hours. What if we had to read through 4,000 tips? And then you have to say, do you pass this one up and this is the one or what? Probably 90% of those are bogus, or not bogus, maybe people meaning well but it's just not relevant to the case. But every tip, never discount them. I always say, I don't care if you think you saw something, but you second guessing. If it's relevant to a crime and it's unsolved, call it in. Worst you can do is, have an investigator look at it for 2 minutes and move on. But, yeah. Could be multiple layers of gloves. Yeah. Pair of regular gloves with a latex one over the top. Yep, could be. Or maybe that person just has some chubby hands, some Shrek hands. The person looked pretty, to me, they had like their quads and their calves looked to be pretty toned. But it's hard to tell in the upper body because of that jacket. But this looked like somebody who was in decent shape. I mean, just what I saw, I'd say maybe 30s. That wasn't a little starter mustache for sure. But he did have a couple little spots there where he couldn't grow, so. I think it's probably Venus Gal about the facial reconstruction, even what they can see or sense under the mask. I think the software and the capabilities that they have to do stuff like that is beyond anything we could imagine. What's interesting, if you've been to CrimeCon, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, I believe it's them. If I'm wrong and let me know. But they, throughout the weekend, will do like a clay reconstruction of a skull, like a picture of a skull of a missing person or a John or Jane Doe. And by the end of it, you have this entire face that looks like, somebody. It's a real person. So, yeah, I mean, you just don't know. Their software is probably something we'd all love to get our hands on. Sherpa style jacket. Yep. In fact, I have a photo. Let me go to my X feed. So I have all the alerts. If anything new happens, we'll go, we'll go right to it. That was me this morning, y'all, right there. Yeah, I did. I think if you put, we had a beautiful sunset tonight. It was so pink. That was me this morning. Still me now. Poor Carlos. How pretty is Mrs. Guthrie, though? Come on. She doesn't look 84, right? It's like Granny. She didn't look 91, and she loved to hear it, y'all. And if you didn't tell her that she didn't look 91, she would let you know she was 91. So you could tell her. That's Brian talking to the mother-in-law. I'm trying to pull up the vid. It's on my YouTube. It'll be easier to do that there. Yeah, you can see that Sherpa lining, though. Those things are warm. And those in a hot flash. Oh, no. I cannot stand my voice. Right there. You see the, right there? That's a Sherpa lining. And then you can see on kind of, I think, the inside of the jacket at some point, that Sherpa lining. We'll have to Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in those, especially if your coat's like a down coat with the stitching in it. Look, he's looking for something. Well, he goes on the ground. They said the backpack, yeah, it does look like those from Walmart. I pulled them up. But a lot of backpacks have that reflector thing on the thing. I also saw some people, some analysts saying it looks like that that gun holster might have been like, not a hard material, like a hard plastic, it looked like polyester or something. See how I'm talking about like his legs look very defined? And then if you watch him kind of walk back, I was trying to show the Sherpa. There's another shot where you can see like inside the jacket, but you get the point. You can see there at the arms that's polyester. But if you kind of look at his build, like when he bends down, looks to me like his calves are pretty defined. Maybe somebody that works out. Quads are definitely fit. But see how those legs look really, really fit? And he doesn't look big. I mean, even with the Sherpa jacket on, he looks like he's probably a medium build, more muscular. And that mustache, yeah. The lips, even in the still video, you can see the lips pretty well. Not very full lips. Not thin, but not full. Let's pull up, these are both the videos, and we have nothing else to do, so let's look. Oh, so creepy. Poor Mrs. Guthrie. Can you imagine when law enforcement finally got this video yesterday? It just brought a whole new layer to all this for me. Just think about how terrified she had to have been. There's the bush she pulled up. And then, yeah, you see that picture right there. If he dripped a little spit and that mask is legit, there's some good DNA. Because that ain't going nowhere. Leave a hair or two in there. Ancestry. Yeah. Third cousin did some stuff. You might be busted. Oh, they found Coburger. Go back to my tab. Okay, so where are we on? Did I even show you guys the video, or was I on this the whole time? Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry. Oh my gosh. Share this tab instead. Let's go through this again. Sorry, y'all. I forgot to hit the share the tab. Let's watch this. I'm gonna go freshen my coffee up. So now you can see everything I was talking about now that I've actually shared my screen with you. There you go. Check it. Checking the WebEx to see if they've dropped anything. It's quiet. Yeah, see that flashlight in his mouth? Right there. Dribble a little DNA in that. That's an investigator's dream. I mean, I just have a feeling this is not a one-time criminal. To do something like this brazen, this violent, you know, hopefully this person's had to give DNA in the past. I mean, I just don't feel like this is this person's first rodeo. See that right there? That flashlight. Plus, you have facial hair. So I'm sure that mask is being tested as we speak. So it's kind of quiet, y'all. You know, there's just not a lot happening. 14 minutes ago. The set of gloves. I mean, I think that's kind of the biggest story right now is the set of gloves. Live updates. I think this was last night. Yeah. That is nothing new. Let's see. That was 7 minutes ago. So let's see if this, I think we actually, yeah, we looked at this about the black glove. Let's scroll down this page. Her friends and neighbors have begun placing yellow ribbons and flowers along the curb outside her home in a show of support. That's sweet. Ribbons are meant to be a symbol of hope. They do those for when soldiers are deployed. They tied around the tree, the old oak tree. And the CFA, which is the Catalina Foothills Association, suggested people may want to tie a yellow ribbon in front of their homes to demonstrate they stand with the Guthries and fellow neighbors. Oh, wow. Savannah Guthrie's husband speaks out on mother-in-law's disappearance. Michael Feldman is turning to the public for help as the search intensifies for his missing mother-in-law, Nancy Guthrie. After the FBI released photos of a masked subject believed to be connected to the 84-year-old's disappearance, I would say it's probably likely the husband of NBC Today Show co-host Savannah Guthrie took to social media with an urgent plea. Someone out there may recognize this person. He wrote this on Instagram, by the way, posting images and surveillance videos stills shared by investigators. Please help us bring her home. So they go through showing the video, missing as of February 1st. That's his that's his first public statement since Nancy vanished. With Nancy saying, or with Savannah saying, we believe she is still alive, bring her home. And that was her Instagram Monday. So let's try to find his Instagram and look at that post in person. Michael Feldman. Yeah, so he shows the videos. That still, that mustache, it's really prominent. It, you know, almost looks like just more of a, I don't even know, it's a, you know, it could be a goatee, but they call it a patch or something. This person looks younger to me, just based on, I mean, look, I've seen people in their 70s in better shape than me, but to me, just kind of looks like maybe 30s. Gosh, that's so creepy. People are talking about the eyebrows. It's hard to tell if that's just like a shadow from the mask or what, but it's very textured. I've seen them like that. I mean, they're all kind of the same to me. So that was his post. Look how pretty she is. She's so cute. I don't want to show her kids. Oh, I didn't know it, but because like I don't watch the Today Show because I'm always working. But oh, James Vanderbeek, my goodness. Oh, so sad. Can you imagine? I mean, he has so many little babies. I don't know if you guys have seen his Instagram, but this was the last post he put up himself. His dad and his daughter share a birthday. These poor kids, you know, they're just gonna be I'm sure they'll be okay because they have a great mom, it seems. I mean, they're just so supportive, but I've enjoyed his journey from Hollywood to just like farm dude in Texas. And even while he was sick, you know, he shared some really, really insightful stuff about life in general. And one of the things that really spoke to me a lot was I wonder if I can find it. It's just I listened to it like a ton because he's talking about, oh yeah, here, watch this real quick while I go make my coffee.
Resolution was impossible to keep. I'm going to say something. I don't think it's your fault. I think it makes total sense. Why are we celebrating a new year in the dead of winter? Why are we celebrating new beginnings at a time when nature rests? Animals are hibernating. Birds fly south for the winter. The time to celebrate a new beginning and a new you and a new resolution is in the spring, at the vernal equinox, when the flowers bloom and it gets warmer and the birds return. That's how nature does it. Why are we fighting nature? I mean, all due respect to Pope Gregory VIII, who saddled us with this Gregorian calendar system, but it just makes absolutely no sense. Plus, hear me out on this one. If March is the first month of the year, that means September is the 7th, October the 8th, November the 9th, December the 10th. You see where I'm going with this, right? So I'm going to say, screw it. I'm going to take the winter to recover, to rest, and I'm going to make New Year's resolutions in the spring. Who's with me? Anybody else out there find?
Y'all, come on now. Yeah, a lot of his posts on there, if you haven't followed his Instagram, I highly recommend going and just going through it because his posts are so inspirational and they make you think. And man, Godspeed, dude. Horrible. He's got little kids too. Horrible. Get some comments here. We may not go as long tonight, honestly, because there's just nothing going on. But we'll hang out for a bit. I did watch Dawson's Creek. It was good. But I think that's just such a good perspective, and it makes total sense. You know, there's seasonal depression in the winter. It's kind of the worst time ever to try to want to make positive changes in your life. You know, maybe you need that to get out of a funk if you're in it, but it does make sense. Like spring's hopeful. We're all happier. We're outside more. It's warmer. The days are longer. I just Googled it and it says someone has something shiny, such as silver capped tooth. It can provide a glare that might look like a light. That definitely was a flashlight though. Because you see it when he comes in and it moves like, and then in one spot he doesn't have it. You can find them there. Let's see. Let's look on Amazon because yeah, I mean, you can get these teeny tiny little flashlights. That one's got a magnet. Be my luck, I'd swallow it and need surgery. But you see here, I'm going to share this page, and they're cheap. Look, I'm sure that like I wonder if they're going through like Amazon, you know. But you see how small it is, and you could totally just fit that in your mouth. I will tell you guys one thing. I just passed them. Highly recommend these right here. I have a pair of these, and they're really cheap. That was like 2 pair, I think. They come in handy so much. So that way you don't have to hold a flashlight in your mouth. That's how you break your front teeth. I'm not paid for this. It's not an endorsement, just saying. That right there comes in handy. Go back to our pro account and just see if we share my screen. Sorry. So yeah, let's go on Google News and just see if there's anything different. I rarely look at the news anymore, like on a Google search, because X breaks the news these days. But let's see if there's any, and then we'll go to Facebook. And JLR is live streaming. Go watch him. You want to live stream in the background for sure. Let's go to our news. Let me I'm gonna share this tab. Go to news, and we will sort by the past hour. So that's old news. We know about this. Been there, done that. Looks like the billboards are up. So let's watch this. Yeah, I have to be careful even with the commercial music. Skip that, baby. Where's my sound? There we go.
FBI agents investigating the Nancy Guthrie disappearance are searching the Catalina foothills today.
Overnight, a man who was detained for a few hours in connection with that case spoke with CBS News. Jared Hill with the latest on the case.
Missing person billboards for Nancy Guthrie are now in multiple states, including California, as the search for the 84-year-old mother of Today's Show co-host Savannah Guthrie intensifies.
Somebody who's not aware of what's going on, they're going to see that, and they might have seen her somewhere. So, that could be that one little tip.
In a statement Wednesday, the FBI said agents are conducting an extensive search along multiple roadways in the Catalina foothills near Tucson, Arizona. Overnight, the FBI and Pima County Sheriff's Department searched the home of a person in Rio Rico, Arizona, but they released him hours later.
I didn't do anything, to be honest. I'm innocent.
A delivery driver named Carlos said he didn't even know who Savannah Guthrie was.
I don't follow the news.
Right.
I don't watch.
You don't watch the Today Show.
No.
So this is a complete shock.
It was.
What kind of questions were they asking you?
Nothing. They didn't ask me no questions.
So they just said
nothing. They just sat me in the car. They investigated my car and this one, and that's it.
Investigators are hoping newly released images captured by a security camera outside Nancy Guthrie's home the night she went missing will help lead to a break in the case. The chilling video shows an armed, masked person wearing gloves and a backpack.
Possible identification of unique factors from that video to include what appears to be a firearm on the front of his waistband and a unique looking holster. Maybe somebody saw those details and can provide a tip to law enforcement that results in a person being captured.
The FBI is reminding the public that a $50,000 reward is offered for information leading to Nancy Guthrie's recovery.
Nancy Guthrie was last seen 11 days ago. Savannah Guthrie posted.
Okay, so I gotta read some of y'all's comments because y'all crack me up. Let's see. I'm gonna go back up. Let's make sure real quick that we're not missing anything, but we are not. Quiet. Okay. I'm gonna read y'all's comments. Somebody said, why you have gloves like that, Gigi? I will never tell. No, just if I'm like, I do some handiwork around the house. I call my dad when it gets too crazy, but yeah. Like if you're trying to screw something in and it's like behind something, or if I'm trying to plug something in and it's dark in the or darkish in the room, or just I can't even begin to tell you the times I've used them in my car. Like at night when I've lost something, if I can't find my flashlight, I just throw them on and go look, in between the seats and stuff. They're really bright too. Somebody said something like, why are people saying this is a woman? A soul patch. That's it. Real happy, but under his lip. That's what I'm talking about. Grizzly, I did get a little sleep today. It was one of those where I woke up and I was like, did I actually fall asleep? And my daughter confirmed, yes. I came in and you were totally sacked out. But I'm not a good napper. So for me personally, I will wake up and feel worse than before I went to bed. So I'm one of those nappers that is very rare. I actually wake up and feel better. So I just feel like I'm hungover and I don't drink. But I needed the sleep. So somebody said they would choke on the light. You and me both. Does the Ring cam? It was a Nest cam. Yeah, so I think that the flashlight is one thing that they're looking at, trying to see if they can find purchases. I think that was included in what TMZ said. And somebody said, I don't understand why people think this is a woman. That is not a woman. I mean, women can have, that kind of a build. I've seen women with with very big muscles, but the FBI referred to that person as a him. So I feel like they're not going to say that unless they're sure. But for me, I look at it and my first thought is, it's a male. But the FBI could have said, hey, this is a woman. We don't know if this is a man or a woman, but they did refer to it as it should be an it because it's creep. Yeah, I think, why do you think he was putting the flowers up? There's no way flowers were going to cover a ring cam, and that confuses me. So if you see, he was about to knock when he noticed that that ring camera. I'm glad you sold your script to Netflix, but you scared me to death. Ad. I was going to pull it back up again. Will you guys stop barking? I'm sorry, my dogs are... Somebody's busted up. Hey, babe.
Ouch.
How was your day?
What are you on?
I'm on a live, but I'm chatting. My camera's not on. With my people, my alibars. We're just hanging out. Did you have a good day at school? Yeah. We'll play this again. That just looks like a man to me. But the FBI said a man, but you see there, right at the beginning, he goes to knock and then he's kind of trying to figure something out. You see the bottom hands trying to work something. This shows disorganization because he looks here on the bare floor for something. Like a rock's not going to cover it. He looks to the left, then he sees the little bush to the right, pulls it up, and then we'll try to find that photo showing the mat with the flowers. But this is somebody who just was not accounting for a camera being there. So, yeah, I think it shows. Yeah, you can see the roundness of that flashlight right there. So I think he just thought it was going to cover it up, but it just shows a little disorganization or not thinking everything to me. Read some more comments here. 13 hours yesterday. Double Bender. Double Bin Leather Company. All right. First of all, gonna check that out. Also, thank you. It was the longest I've ever been live. But it didn't feel like 13 hours because things were just changing every second. We thought there was hope. We saw that chopper. The timing was sort of coincidental, and it was nice to have a little hope for a minute. But yeah, it didn't seem like 13 hours. But man, some of you were in here the whole time. Y'all are like amazing. In the mods. I mean, there were some mods that were in here for the entire 13 hours. We were seeing the night vision. Must have been very dark for this person to be able to look into the camera and not know he was looking into the camera. Good point, Dreamscape. Because did he have it when he walked up? Was that? No. Okay, so let's watch. I mean, I know we've watched this 10 times, but we're just going to do it again because that is a good point. If you watch when he first walks up, he does not have it in his mouth, but something catches him. He sees it. Maybe the little light came on. Sometimes that little blue light will pop on. I wonder if that's what alerted him, but he was just about to knock on the door. So that's just that little disorganization. And then he comes back with the flashlight in his mouth. See, he's got it there. You see that light. You see it projecting on the walls. But it doesn't look like he has it there. At what point did he put that in his mouth? Let's see if we can see when he actually put it in his mouth. Because we know it's not here. Okay. Might be right then. Looks like his mouth went up. And then you see the light projecting to the right. You see right there? Yeah. So, but then again, that could have been his backpack. And then here, he's put it in I don't know. Question. Let's see. Wonder why I didn't just try to take the camera off. Well, eventually we know it was ripped off. At that point, yeah, you would think it, but I think being caught off guard like that and maybe seeing that blue light and having that moment of panic, no matter how much you've planned your crime out, when something goes astray, I think you're left to kind of instinct with a little bit of adrenaline kicking in because that dude was wandering aimlessly to the left. There was nothing there but rocks. So I just think that, just one of those things that he wasn't anticipating, which makes me wonder, canvassing the house, which I would totally believe they had to do. Maybe they just didn't see it. I would also be curious to know if the cameras caught anything prior to that night, but it erased. But you would think if they were on the property before this happened, like a week before or a month before, and she saw like a hooded figure or somebody wandering, it would have alerted. If she had her alerts enabled, we don't know. Or if she didn't have alerts enabled and no subscription, it would have overwritten by the morning. So there could be really valid explanations as to why, let me see. I got to put something out about my thing with Jesse tonight. So they just sent me a graphic. No, I don't think so, Mary. I'm sure everybody that was close to Savannah or her has been investigated. And it's not to say that it's resolved, but yeah. Did you really? Let me see. My daughter just took up sewing for the first time, and she made this really awesome pillow with like fringes and stuff. It looks so good.
I finished it.
It looks great. Here, I should pop on the camera and show everybody. Look, y'all, I'm gonna pop on the camera and show you guys her pillow. Let me do this. Wait. Hang on. I gotta make it big. First time ever sewing, y'all. Look at this. Wait, check it out. Boom. Look at that. Look at her. Look at the little fringe. Look at that. First time ever sewing, y'all. And then the flip side. She's an old soul. And she hand sewed it. Yeah, no cheating.
I just want to
I'm getting off now.
Oh.
I don't like being on camera on my lives. I don't like being on camera at all. Sometimes that's the nature of the beast, but I don't love it. Let me share back my screen. Look at her go. Definitely like if I hadn't watched her be born myself, I would swear there was a mix up at the hospital or something. Because she is too crafty and too girly. Both my girls. A flavor saver? Steffi calls that little patch of skin under the lip a flavor saver. That is so funny. What's on her porch on the mat? So let's see if we can find that photo. Because there was a daylight picture where you see part of that plant still there amongst the blood. Let me see. Find it. I know it was posted. Right here. Let me share this tab. So right there, I mean, that's the aftermath of what we just watched right there. So you see the blood. I don't see any right here though. There was a couple of places on the wall right here. But yeah, so he grabbed just, like a little bush and tried to cover. Doesn't look like, it's interesting. I don't know if that right there, but did they not take this up and swab or do some kind of luminol or presumptive positive on that mat? I mean, clearly the mat's still there because this was taken by the media. I mean, I would have taken that mat. You could have had like fibers deposited on that from his shoe. And then you got the blood here, which this to me kind of looks like these are obviously your gravity drops. Like I told you, Grammy would hit her arm on the door frame and bleed for an hour, and it looked like that on my floor. But that right there in the middle to me is more like a spray. So like, is she coughing or, it doesn't look like a bloody nose. I mean, because that's just going to be lots of gravity drops. That right there, is it possible, some kind of an impact, but it's just not a lot. It's just not a lot of blood. She was on blood thinners, so she's just going to bleed very easily. That was something we dealt with nonstop with Grammy, so I totally get it. That's the live updates that we've seen. The set of gloves is a big deal, though, and the mask, if that turns out to be legit. I'm going to see if anybody's reporting on that. And I didn't share the 911 call, you know, to say this is real, but it does specifically mention Nancy Guthrie. So I wanted to share. I had people, you know, asking like source. I'm like, dispatch. There. Okay. Let's pull up this on a map and see. Let's pull this up and see where it is. Going on a little trip with Google Maps again. I used to sit my kids in my lap and we would just like go visit monuments and stuff. 7. Let's see here. Can you guys decipher 782 4201 00100? Is that a whole address or is it like a call sign or I don't understand? Anybody know? Let me know in the comments. Look at East First Avenue in Tucson. East First Avenue. What we have here. There's an East First Street in Tucson, but not a road. East First Avenue. All right, let me try this another way. I'm getting street every single time. So I don't see an avenue. Let's see, it's 4201. Do y'all think it's 4201? What do y'all think? Let me look at the comments real quick. I don't want to be like wasting my time here. Thank you so much, Chelsea. Appreciate you. In the fully unedited video, you see him walk up, you can see the flashlight. The one I'm watching is at full length. That's right. Yeah, thank you, Chelsea. We'll try to find that. Yeah, he definitely was hey, beautiful. Good to see you here. Yeah, for sure. But you see that moment of uncertainty, and that's just the unexpected happening in the middle of a very violent crime. So you see the disorganization there. But again, like I say, day 11, nobody in custody and no sign of Mrs. Guthrie. Yeah, I mean, it's possible that we'd have to be somebody that knew her and knew that about her. I don't know that he was already in the house because there was no sign of forced entry, and we know that pacemaker disconnect. We know that the garage door closed shortly after she was dropped off. The Nest camera disconnects. Then 40 to 45 minutes later, that last hit on the pacemaker. It looked to me like he was going to knock, so maybe he just knocked until she came to the door. Hard to know. I mean, but look, we know nothing. So could somebody have been inside? We don't know. I think it would be risky though, because you don't know if somebody's going to bring her home and come inside but then again, it's closets and y'all going to get me freaked out now because I'm going to be thinking there's somebody in my closet. So let me go down here. Yes, let me share this again. If you guys can help me figure out what all these numbers would be. Is it 4201 or is that like 782 4201? That's not a phone number. That's because I wouldn't put it up, but we'll do 4201 because it's kind of just in the same area. East First Avenue looks like just a straight little residential area off of a main road, East Speedway Boulevard. So I'm trying to find Nancy Guthrie's home address just to see how far it is from there. Catalina Foothills. I'll just put that in. So directions. Let's go Catalina Foothills. You got there. Okay, so it seems like it's kind of in the general area. I don't know her direct address, but let me share this tab. So this would be the mask, about anywhere between 5 to 7.5 miles. If we click here, assuming this is the right place, she found it in an alleyway near her home. So that's a road, and I don't know the exact number, but let's kind of just scroll. Not really an alleyway. This might not be exactly it. I don't know if they consider that an alleyway, but it was somewhere, I think, on this road. East First Avenue is not a long road. It's just a little strip of homes. So maybe like here. Wait, let me go like right here. I'm not saying this is the address. We're just looking. No, that goes back up to a fence, but I want to see if there's alleyways. I mean, and it could kind of be because this goes to, no, that's a parking lot. God, y'all would love to have that in my front yard. I'm trying to grow prickly pear right now because they're native to South Carolina, especially in the coastal region. They've done really well. See, but see, if this is like the right road, it just goes to a main road. And I'm not sure what they consider an alley. An alley, I'm thinking like New York. Walking down the alleys. So interesting, if this would be related, if this is related, it gives them an area, that this person may have traveled. East First Avenue. It says Avenue. There's only a East First Street, as far as I can tell. This is an old Google image right there. It's more current, but you see, it's just residential area. So, but you're coming off a main vein right there. So, I bet you $100 if this, they might, if they're taking this tip seriously, they may be canvassing here at some point. Yeah, I still see alleyways, but not to say there isn't one. Look, you ain't got to cut your grass or nothing. Yeah, it just backs up, like goes gravel to doors. Oh, there's some prickly pear right there. Yeah. So this is still there, but you see here you go, and then you're on this main road right here. We just killing time, y'all. Oh, look, 2 happy cactus. Trying to see. But let me check the comments. Do you guys kind of, let me scroll down. What about Bronnington? Lurking while eating supper, Audra. Lucky you. Her house number is 430. Thank you. Well, we got lost. Totally on par for me. We got lost on Google Maps, y'all. Okay, how do I? All right, let's try this again. 430 East First Avenue. Or in this street. There is no avenue. See, if I put it in. Oh, wait, there is an avenue. It just popped up all of a sudden. Okay, so here we are near Tucson High Magnet School. Was that north first? It's east. Sorry. Jeez. Look, don't ever take directions from me. I'm just giving you a heads up, and you're seeing why. East First Street. Yeah. So there's North Avenue, but East First Street. Let's go here. So let's pull out and see Catalina Foothills. So not far, 6 to 7 miles. So she's up in this area, right in here probably. And then you come down. University of Arizona is right here. So kind of a big area. Let's go. Is there no street view? Come on, man. Get my little dude. Yeah, there is. And alleyways. So there we go. So you see these little alleyways now. Let me make sure I'm on the right road. That's North Hoff. Oh. East First Street. Actually over here. Look, y'all gonna be like, you're making me dizzy. Wait, I'm gonna zoom in so I can put my little dude down in the right spot. Right here. So this area right here, I wonder if it's this alley. This is East First. So it could be this alley here too. Could really be anywhere down here. Let's see if Google goes this way. We don't have a picture of the mask, I don't think. We just have the call. So you see here, could have been anywhere in here. But not super far that it's inconceivable. But also, I mean, look, I've been out walking before, and you see a shoe or like a sock, or it doesn't mean that it's related. I mean, what is that right there? They left some buttons on their thing. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if anything comes of it. So let's back out and see kind of any. We look here. You kind of can see a route of travel coming from there. So about a 17-minute drive, but you're right by the University of Arizona, right by where this was found, if it's related. I'm trying to see anything bigger. In-N-Out Burger, Rocco's Little Chicago. But yeah, see the whole University of Arizona campus right there. I would venture a guess that they don't have Mrs. Guthrie in the frat house. Banner University, right there. We heard about that last night. So I wonder where the glove was found in relation to the mask. Let me see if Troy put in there the address. He's really good about like putting in everything. Here's an article about the glove. I want to read this real quick and see if it says where. A pair of gloves. Now we know it's a pair of gloves. It was 1.5 miles away from Nancy's home. I wish they would tell her. So the evidence response team got the glove. So 1.5 miles. I don't have Nancy's address, to be honest, because I would like to do like a like a ride through. But anyway, so yeah, interesting. You find two things in two different places today that are very similar to things that they're looking for. We'll see if anybody has updated. If not, we may end it here. I might go hang out. I'm gonna go hang out with my kids and go see my folks. Okay, let's watch this. This is new.
The Catalina Foothills area is a little bit unique in that it is a combination of private and public land. For mostly aesthetic reasons, I imagine, a lot of it is left as close to what you might imagine it would be originally as possible. So it has this behavior of being both very rugged and seemingly rural while also being right next to somebody's house. The Catalina Foothills area is a little bit unique.
Oh man, I totally disappeared. Like Houdini, I'm back. Let's watch this interview here. This is new. Hold up. Juju, quit barking. Scare me.
The detectives got here. It was the FBI agent in Santa Cruz County, and they told me I was being detained for kidnapping. And I asked them, like, well, kidnapping of who? And they told me this lady, I don't know her name. And
Nancy Guthrie?
Yeah, that's her.
New movement overnight in the search for Nancy Guthrie after the FBI released doorbell video of an armed suspect outside her Tucson area home. Deputies shifted their focus to Rio Rico near the Mexico border, questioning the man for hours following a traffic stop.
He's since been released and says he's just a delivery driver. Now investigators are sorting through thousands of new tips. Ashley Holden is live in Tucson with the very latest. Ashley.
Yeah, well, so many people wondering what is next. And we have seen FBI agents out here doing searches in the Catalina Foothills neighborhood, really right near Nancy Guthrie's home as well. And take a look, our camera's catching some footage of FBI agents walking through two areas in this neighborhood. The FBI saying in a statement, this is what they would be doing today. Now, ABC 15 is asking questions after becoming aware of multiple reports that investigators may have found a black glove during their search. The FBI would not comment when we asked. To better describe some of these areas, we have been speaking with people like the Southern Arizona Rescue Association. That was a nonprofit who was out here. They described some of this desert foliage, and they said that it was really kept in kind of its original. So they have homes around all of this foliage as well. And so that is kind of what we are seeing FBI agents walking through as they are doing these searches. Now, so many people watching overnight as we had so many developments. We've also been asking questions about that. We're getting new information on that man who was detained in Rio Rico, Arizona on Tuesday and later released. Sources tell ABC News that he was on their radar before the release of those new images and video from Nancy Guthrie's home. Their sources say the FBI ID'd him by using a series of electronic investigative tools that includes cell phone usage information and traffic data, but we don't know those exact techniques. Obviously, so many questions remain, so many people watching this case and really wondering, again, what is next? What we do know is that law enforcement have those images and that video, and they are going to be pouring through each and every pixel of that, trying to get clues and trying to ID that person that they are calling a suspect. For now, live in Tucson, Ashley Holden, ABC 15, Arizona.
And through it all, so many thoughts and prayers are with the Guthrie family.
Thank you, Ashley.
Yeah, it's kind of, it seems like today, I mean, big discoveries potentially, but just not a lot of news coming out. Just trying to see if there's anything new before we hop off. I'm gonna go hang out with my youngins before I have to get ready for, with Jesse Weber. About 11:20 is when I should pop on there. So talking about this case, let's see the latest. I'm always afraid to pull this up, like, because people are foul. Yeah, so they're just out on the ground, I mean, that's what they said they were gonna do. Watch this one. Again. Drop the roadways, like somebody tossed it out the window. Let's see, sorry, I didn't share my tab, but you see, it's just kinda right off the roadway, it looks like. Maybe somebody just threw it out the window.
Is that a glove?
What is that back there? Maybe a rock, but it looks blue to me. Right there. See that? Is that like a rock? I'm gonna take a screenshot of that. Okay.
Is that a glove?
Is that a glove? I love these reporters, man. I tell you, they work so hard. Just times like this, poor Brian, like he's been running. JLR's been running. Oh gosh, just creeps me out every time. Targeted ads. We were looking at the 511 tacticals last night. Now I'm getting ads, and I was looking at Nikes, and there you go. I mean, that's looks like all the tips of those fingers are folded in. Doesn't look placed. Looks like it was tossed and it just got caught on that bush. Yeah, day 11, y'all. We're gonna keep that hope though. Share this tab instead. Do that. People are morons. Yes, I don't really see anything new. I think let's just hope that they're doing something. If anything crazy pops up, I'll hop back on. Let me double check my WebEx. I don't think anybody's on. Everybody's taking it easy. Yeah, so I just want to hop on, do a little update, see what was up with everybody, and I'm gonna go hang with a little offspring for a while. Been kind of stuck in here the last couple of days. Yeah, I don't think he has either. He's been streaming 14 plus hours. Let me glance at his feed and see what he's doing. The last I saw, they were just kind of hanging out in front of the house. So we'll share his tab for no, actually, he doesn't even have a signal. Yeah, I mean, you can see he's. Is that Annie's or is that Nancy's? Let's see. Just seeing what they're. Let's see what he's saying.
And then I'm going to see any new development. So stand by. This is outside. We'll see what happens here. If anything breaks off here at the house, I will be back. Oh, it gets dark out here fast. See if there's any other additional reports. Out here.
Wonder whose house they're at. Let me see if I'm posted. Let's see.
I might bring a chair next
time. He said, I'm going to bring a chair next time. Yeah, those dogs get real tired. Standing up for hours. I think they're talking about the glove. But I'm trying to figure out whose house this is. Is this Nancy's house? Look in the chat. Good night, Michelle. Okay, so this is Nancy's. Okay, so they're at Nancy's. I wonder if they're inside.
Bald guy, kind of.
Yes, that's the guy.
Yeah, so it looks like they're just kind of staked out. Don't look like there's much going on. So I'll be watching everything. If something crazy happens, I'm gonna hop back on with you guys. But I'm gonna go hang with my kiddos and go pop up and see my folks and go across the street and see my brother and my sister-in-law, great niece, great nephew, my nephew. Yeah, Judy, I always say true crime should never be a competition. It should be a collaboration because we're all working for the same goal. You could have 10 content creators covering the same case and we all bring something different to the table. And I love that. And I think that's how it should be. If somebody has a piece of information that other content creators can put on their stuff just to get the word out. I think in these missing person cases, the other gripe I have is I've seen so many different news organizations putting articles about this behind a paywall. And I just feel like some news stories need to be free for all. I understand subscriptions. I pay for a lot doing what I do every month, but it seems to me like missing kids, missing person, something very time sensitive. Don't put it behind a paywall. I mean, that could be that one person that can't afford your subscription that has that one tip that maybe your article would jog their memory. I don't know, just a gripe of mine. Joel's tired. We're gonna see Joel with me tonight. Yeah, the gloves and the mask found are the latest news. They're swabbing that for some DNA. So, Mama Bear, I hope you got a full belly and ready for some hibernation later tonight. You didn't miss nothing. We've just been going on Google Adventures on Google Maps and scouring, watching some news updates and reading X, but gloves and the mask, pair of gloves being found and the mask, really the biggest news today. So yeah, again, by 11:20, I'll be on News Nation with Jesse Weber with Joel from Surviving the Survivor talking about this case. So if you have News Nation, if not, they'll put a clip out and I will post that on my socials. Yeah, Heather, so let's play the 911 call for those of you who are just coming in, and we are going to knock off here. We don't know if it's related. It could be a coinky dink, but somebody did call and specifically mention the Nancy Guthrie case. So let's listen.
1032 for going to be at 100 East 1st Avenue. Caller said she found a ski mask on the ground in the alley near her garage. Looks like the same mask the assailant was wearing in the Nancy Guthrie case. Is that a glove?
So that's it. Somebody just being vigilant, saw something and said something, and that's what needs to happen, even if it's not anything to do with Nancy Guthrie. Those are the leads that, if she says, there's no way this is related. And that thing is related and it has DNA and that's what Savannah Guthrie was saying in her message, the last one where she was just pleading with the public. If you see anything, even if you don't think it's important, call it in. So I'm curious to see if the gloves or the hat or the mask yield any further clues or break this case wide open. The FBI was the one that used the genetic genealogy in Koberger, so they're doing it here. I feel like did they go in there and do like dusting for prints in her house and things like that? We don't know what they've done in there because we don't see all entryways unless there's a drone up by the media and they're back there. So yeah, I'm sure they're doing more than we know, but thanks guys for hopping on. I just wanted to update today. And, unfortunately, no news about Mrs. Nancy. We're closing in day 11 and about to go 12. So hopefully we hear something soon. It could be planted. It could be a coincidence. Maybe somebody just had it on and got hot and tossed it off. I don't know. I mean, it's Tucson. It's not like you need a ski mask unless you're, unless you want to hide your face or you're doing something you shouldn't. It's not cold there. I mean, I guess it's cold if you're from Tucson and it's 50, but yeah, ski mask material, who knows? But yeah, I'll keep you posted. I got 50,000 alerts set. So, all right, guys, I'm going to go see my kids, my family, and I'll see y'all later.